Hello everybody and welcome back to the dig site. I've given up on the g'days in my intros. I guess I've sort of become progressively less Australian. Today I'm going to be talking about radiocarbon dating, or carbon dating, you might see it being called. I believe it's also called carbon-14 dating, as carbon-14 is the isotope that's used in this process. Now this was a request, this video, by Lara, who's a member of my Discord server. There's a link to that in the description of this video. And I'm actually studying it in biology at the moment in high school as well. So I'm hoping I can give you guys some insight, best of both worlds, and you can sort of, learn something from this. But if you don't need to know about it, you don't need to know about it. It's something that's a bit more on the advanced side of paleontology, I would say. And not even necessarily just paleontology, geology in general. So yeah, it's not 100% necessary for your understanding of paleontology. Although it is very useful because what radiocarbon dating allows us to do is to track the age of a fossil. Now, I believe radiocarbon dating only works for fossils that are up to about 50,000 years old. Quaternary fossils and recent fossils instead of, Mesozoic era sort of fossils and Paleozoic. It's more Cenozoic related. So basically the process that happens in it is radiocarbon dating has an isotope called carbon-14, which has a half-life of about 5,700 years. So a half-life is basically when your isotope, which is basically just the material, the radioactive material that's used in the rock or is found in the rock, it decays by half every 5,700 years. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, does that mean that in 11,000 years, it's going to be completely gone? No. Because it's only decaying by half every 5,000 years. So if you go, I'll draw it on this little, I have better paper. I think I might start doing these sort of more drawing videos. I love drawing and I don't really do it much on this channel. If I can find, alright, there's a number on there, I'm going to have to scribble that out. So you've got this piece of paper here, right? So let's say that this is our radioactive isotope. This is carbon-14. So we'll write C14 next to it. It's very difficult for you to see. I'm sorry, I should have drawn it bigger. So every 5,700 years, this little isotope loses half of its radioactivity. And then another 5,700 years later, it loses another half of it. And then another half, and another half, and another half. And eventually, I think it's about 50,000 years when this section of the isotope is finally gone and there's no isotope left. Or at least not enough to sustain scientific research. If you don't understand this, that's perfectly fine. It's a bit difficult to get your head around. I'm happy to explain it in the comments section. Also, I'll link some websites that might be able to assist you with this if you request it. Just type down in the comments what you need help with and I'll help you out. But I'll go over it quickly really again. So you've got this full isotope, and then 5,700 years later, half of it decays, or has decayed over that period of time. Okay? Then another 5,700 years passes, and you've got another half of it that's decayed there, right? So you've got this section left. That's a quarter that's left. And then that quarter will be cut in half again, 5,700 years later, and then cut in half again, 5,700 years later, and again, and it just keeps going until there's not enough material left. Which is roughly about 50,000 years, which is why it's only useful for fossils that are up to 50,000 years old. I think that the maximum is, the maximum extent of the date is 70,000 years. I think in most fossils it's about 50 to 70,000 years, which isn't a very long time. But it is useful in hominid evolution, which I did a video on the other day, so you can go check that out. So how does this help us determine the age of fossils? Because we can look at this, and we already know that carbon-14, that the date that it gets, its half-life, we know carbon-14's half-life, so we can go, okay, how much of this material is left? Oh, we've got a quarter of it, which means that it's been roughly about, what's 5,700? 11,000 something years since this animal was around. It's very approximate, it's not like 100%. Because, there's heaps of different variations that come into this. But for the most part, you can get a general idea of a pretty specific date of when this animal was, running around doing stuff. So yeah, that's what that's really useful for. Now, the reason that this isn't used for dinosaurs is because dinosaurs lived 65 million years ago, and prior to that, I think it was about 250 million years or 200 million years before that. So it's obviously vastly beyond the range of our isotope. They would have had carbon-14 in their bodies and in their bones, but it wouldn't have been it wouldn't have survived the 65 million years until humans showed up. So yeah, that's why it's more used for Cenozoic creatures, and extremely recent ones at that, because the Cenozoic, that was vast, that spanned millions of years. And it's primarily used for human evolution, for studying human evolution. I just realized the quality for this video is not very good, so I apologize for that. But yeah, that's a really quick rundown of radiocarbon dating if you're interested in this sort of stuff. There's a link, again, there's a link to my Discord server in the description. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something, because this is a really interesting subject. I hope that I'm conveying it easily in an educative manner to you guys. Subscribe if you want more content like this, and I will see you guys later. Cheers.